My fiancé got harassed, and I ended up being the one thrown in a cell, all because I had a run-in with Julian Harris. He faked his injuries, framed me, and my own fiancée, Claire Johnson, agreed to be the star witness against
Victor
me.
Smith just had to take it too seriously. Julian got hurt because of him. He needs to face the consequences.
After they sentenced me, my fiancé let out a soft sigh. Claire Johnson was about to tell the truth.
The real heir of the Harris family can't have a scandal. But you, the fake son who got swapped at birth, nobody cares. Don't worry. I'll wait for you.
What she didn't know? The night I went in, I overheard every word of her and Julian Harris plotting against me. The day I walk out of prison, that's the day I repay every last bit of gratitude I owe the Harris family.
Number 1975, you're free to go.
The guard's words rang out, and I finally stepped out of the place that had held me for 3 years. Just as I expected, not a soul was waiting for me at the gate. Walking through the winter streets in a thin jacket, I didn't feel the cold. Compared to my body, my heart was far colder. When I got that distress call from Claire Johnson 3 years ago, my heart had already gone numb. I knew it was a trap, her and Julian Harris setting me up, but I still went to save her. I thought they were just going through the motions to frame me. But when I got there, that are hugging in the room, that image cut deep. I lost all control. Like a caged beast, he yanked Julian Harris aside in one sharp tug, and everything exploded. He looked at me with that smug satisfaction in his eyes, and it made me see red. I couldn't think about anything else. Pure rage took over, and I went after him step by step. Every shove, every punch was months of frustration. Even the air around us felt like it was about to snap.
Victor Smith, you're going to kill him! Victor!
Her words cut me like a knife. I was supposed to be her fiancé. I only stopped when the cops showed up. I told them the truth. Julian Harris forced himself on my fiancé.
Julian and I were just playing around. Victor Smith misunderstood the whole thing. I can testify. Victor Smith did all this to Julian.
Even in court, Claire Johnson stuck to the same story. I didn't say a word in my defense. I let her play her part. The Harris parents sat in the audience, looking at me like I was the devil himself. When they handed down the sentence, I just smiled. A peaceful smile. But Claire Johnson hurried over to me, hesitation written all over her face. Instead, she let out a quiet sigh and lowered her voice.
But your real heir can't have a scandal. The fake son, nobody cares. Don't worry. I'll wait for you. We'll still get married.
My heart turned to ash. I didn't look back as the guards led me away. A sudden chill ran through me, snapping me back to the present. Snow had started to fall, dusting my jacket in white. I found a bench, lay down, and let sleep take me. I was exhausted. 3 years in prison, and I hadn't had a single good night's sleep. Slowly, I felt like I was wrapped in a warm furnace. Then a cold, sharp voice yanked me awake.
Victor Smith, what the hell are you doing sleeping out here? Is this your idea of making the Harris and Johnson families look bad?
I forced my eyes open and saw Claire Johnson standing right over me. I tried to speak, but my throat felt stuffed with cotton. That's when I realized I had a fever. Claire Johnson's brows were fronted. All I heard in her voice was annoyance.
Paparazzi got a shot of you. You're trending. Now both the Harris and Johnson families are cleaning up your mess. Happy now?
My ears were ringing. I couldn't make out her words. All I could see was her mouth moving. My head was spinning. Finally, I gave in and passed out right before I lost consciousness. Claire Johnson was still blaming me. When I opened my eyes again, I was back in a familiar room. That shabby little bedroom they'd made for me in the storage closet, just 2 wooden boards for a bed. Still groggy, I heard the door creak open.
Good, you're awake. You know you had a fever, right?
So that warmth I'd felt wasn't a heater. It was the fever burning me up. I was so thirsty. I took the glass from her and drank. The water had barely gone down when a mocking voice came from the doorway.
Victor Smith, still acting like you're the young master of the Harris family? You need someone to wait on you just to drink water? Who do you think you are?
Before I could say a word, Claire Johnson tried to shoo Julian Harris away.
Julian, don't be so hard on Victor. He just got back, and he's sick.
So what if he's sick? He's a grown man. Does being sick mean he gets to have a pregnant woman?
Watching him stake his claim, my eyes stayed perfectly calm. After all, I'd known about their affair 3 years ago. But Claire Johnson panicked. She tried to push Julian away. She shot him a warning glare and scrambled to explain.
Victor, it's not what you think.
I just looked at her expressionless. She couldn't finish. Congratulations. Looks like true love found its way. I saw every bit of panic and shock in Claire Johnson's eyes. I waved them off, shooting them away. This place is bad luck. Wouldn't want to pass on any germs to you. Julian Harris snow-noted coldly and dragged Claire Johnson out. The door slammed so hard it shook the room. I was alone again. So Claire Johnson hadn't just gotten together with Julian Harris. She was carrying his child.
I don't want to be tied down by a kid. Can't we just enjoy being a couple for a few more years?
But back then I'd begged Claire Johnson to have a child with me, and she'd refused every time.
Besides, we're only engaged. We're not married yet.
But the night before I was framed, I found out her real thoughts.
Victor Smith, that low-born fake son, and he thinks I'd have his child? He needs to go to prison to reflect. Otherwise, he'll never understand his place.
A bitter smile tugged at my lips. My heart ached somewhere deep. I'd been back at the Harris house for a while now, and neither Henry nor Margaret Harris had come to see me once. Turns out, this place hadn't been my home for a long time. I waited quietly until midnight, until all the Harris servants were asleep, then crept out of my room.
The moment I stepped into the living room, the darkness exploded with light. Henry and Margaret Harris sat on the couch, stone-faced, their eyes full of displeasure.
You ungrateful. What trouble are you causing now?
I stared at them, confused. Why were they saying this? Before I could speak, Margaret Harris launched into her tirade.
Julian was right. You're about to go out and make trouble for the Harris family again.
I didn't mean to.
We spent a fortune to take down that news story about you sleeping on the street. If you hadn't been swapped into the Harris family by accident, could you have ever earned that kind of money in your entire life?
I stood there in despair, not daring to say another word. Not far away, Julian Harris was watching me with a smug grin. I knew he was behind all this. But I also knew Henry and Margaret Harris would never believe me, because I was the fake son, the one who'd been swapped at birth. I'm sorry. Maybe because I apologized, Margaret Harris softened a little.
We won't stop you if you want to leave. But your father's birthday is in a few days. At least wait until after that.
I nodded stiffly and silently went back to my room. Before the door even closed, I heard Margaret Harris complain.
Kids from poor families just know how to cause drama. If only we'd never had the swap. Thank God Julian warned us. Otherwise, he would have gotten away with it again.
Margaret Harris's words stabbed right into my heart. As I closed the door, my eyes accidentally met Julian Harris's. He was smirking at me, not even trying to hide the scheming in his eyes. In the middle of the night, Julian Harris barged into my room. Victor Smith, you know everything, don't you? I looked at him, confused. I didn't get what he meant. You heard every word Claire Johnson and I said back then, didn't you? But you idiot, you still went to prison willingly. The confusion in my eyes turned to disbelief. So Julian Harris knew everything. What about Claire Johnson? Julian Harris's voice cut through my thoughts.
If you have any sense, get the hell out of here. Stop being a thorn in my side at the Harris house.
After warning me, Julian Harris finally left. The rage triggered a violent coughing flat. I even coughed up blood. In that big Harris house, no one came to check on me. Suddenly, the door swung open. I looked up, hope flickering.
Victor Smith, why can't you ever change? Did you forget how you ended up in prison? Why did you hit Julian again? You're impossible. The moment you're out, you start throwing punches. And sure, you went to prison back then, but Julian got hurt too.
Her words were so absurd, I let out a bitter laugh and shot back.
You don't remember why I hit him back then? You don't remember why I went to prison?
No matter what, violence is wrong. Apologize to Julian right now.
I ignored her and turned my back, lying down on the bed.
Claire, just forget it.
I knew Julian Harris was saying that just to provoke me, but I felt nothing. I'd already made up my mind to let go of Claire Johnson 3 years ago. Why would I get angry over a few words now?
All the kindness I've shown you, might as well have fed it to a dog. Until your mother's birthday, you're not setting one foot outside this door. Got it?
Claire Johnson meant what she said. From then on, a servant stood guard outside my door. Even if I needed the bathroom, I had to get Claire Johnson's permission. I finally made it to the day before Margaret Harris's birthday. Only then did the guard leave.
I've talked to the Harris family. After the birthday, you can start working at Harris Corp. Not as CEO, though. You'll have to start from the bottom.
I frowned at that. Did Claire Johnson not know I was planning to leave after Margaret Harris's birthday? I looked up. Her eyes were full of sincerity. When I didn't respond, she probably thought I wasn't happy with the offer.
A fake son like you getting to stay? That's already the Harris family showing mercy. Before you start dreaming, ask yourself if you deserve it.
When I nodded, Claire Johnson's smile widened.
Don't worry, Victor. You've always been in my heart. I don't even care that you've been to prison.
Then she reached out to grab my arm, but I stepped back, putting distance between us. Claire Johnson, you're carrying Julian Harris's child. Having made my position clear, I walked away without looking back. On the day of Margaret Harris' birthday party, he timidly brought up me a tailored suit. She stared at the thin coat on my shin between us. Then she reached out to grab my arm, but I stepped back. A bitter smile rose in my heart. So, Margaret Harris had always known I was dressing in thin clothes, but she'd never once shown me any care. I'd always known they didn't love me anymore, but in that moment, any last hope died. At the birthday party, plenty of important people showed up, along with the media. When everyone saw Julian Harris and was standing swerving my bin, they started murmuring.
The Harris family really is a century-old dynasty, even given ex-Kong a second chance. And does ex-Con even their own Baf's blood? Jijin Jatter with vision.
They talked about it right in front of me, not even bothering to lower their voices. I pretended not to hear. After all, I'd be gone soon. To escape everyone's judgmental stares, I hid in a corner by myself. Bored out of my mind, I noticed 2 figures not far away.
Julian Harris, this is my aunt's birthday party.
I glanced over. Julian Harris had his arm around Claire Johnson, his fingers brushing her arm, eager and testing.
Claire, ever since you got pregnant, we've been so focused on the baby. We barely have time to talk, to just lean on each other. I just want to feel close to you.
As I turned to leave, my eyes met Julian Harris's. Seeing the mockery in his eyes, I realized he'd brought Claire Johnson here on purpose. Even though he knew I was leaving tonight, he still wanted to twist the knife. But honestly, I was just so tired of it all. I didn't want to watch any more of the Sipper-Batis performances. I turned and walked away. This time, I'd given the Harris family all the face they deserved. From now on, I owed the Harris family nothing. After Margaret Harris' birthday party ended, Claire Johnson let out a sigh of relief. The Harris family had agreed to keep me in the company. To her, that was a good thing. After all, she and Julian Harris had schemed together to send me to prison. Now that I had a steady job, even if it was at the bottom, she saw it as making amends. She looked all around but couldn't find me. She frowned and reached for her phone to call me.
Claire, are you tired?
I'm okay. Not too tired. When Victor starts at the company, you need to look out for him. Even though he's not a Harris by blood, he was raised to be an heir.
She paused, checking Julian Harris' expression.
You came back 3 years again, but you don't have Victor's experience. When the time, he can help support you.
Julian Harris nodded silently but didn't say anything. He'd seen me leave earlier. Claire Johnson just didn't know it.
What we did to Victor back then was wrong. From now on, we need to treat him right.
Just then, a servant walked by.
Have you seen the eldest young master?
At that question, a flicker of disgust crossed the servant's face. She was defending Julian Harris.
Madam, you're being way too partial. You're already carrying Julian's child. Why are you still so hung up on Victor Smith? Victor Smith should be grateful he even gets to use the Harris name. He was never really part of this family, all right?
No matter the truth, Victor was the young master of this house for over 20 years. And you, a servant, dare to badmouth him like that behind his back?
I'm sorry, madam. I was wrong. But I really haven't seen the alert young master.
Claire, why are you taking it out on a servant? The party just ended. You should go handle your own work. Claire, don't be mad. You've got our baby in there. Your mood matters most.
But if they dare say that to my face, they must be even worse behind my back.
But she forgot. The life I had in the Harris family, I owed all of that to her. When the Harris family first found out about the swap, my own fiancée, Claire Johnson, was the first to turn against me. If I so much as drank a soda, she'd remind me.
This drink is expensive. You shouldn't have it if you don't need to. You're not a Harris. You need to learn to save their money.
But after I took over managing the Harris family business, their profits tripled. And I still couldn't have one drink? When I didn't respond, Claire Johnson just snatched the drink right out of my hand.
This drink is made from fresh ingredients flown in from overseas. You can't have it.
She didn't notice how nasty her tone was. All she cared about was keeping me away from anything Harris. Even her scheme with Julian Harris to send me to prison. That was because she was afraid I'd outshine Julian Harris at Harris Corp. She called me several times. No answer. Claire, Victor Smith is a grown man. It's not like he can just disappear. Besides, after 3 years in prison, there's no way he'd want to leave the Harris family now. Days went by, and I didn't show up at the Harris house. Claire Johnson would ask about me from time to time, but the Harris family's answers were always vague. She felt something was off, but she couldn't reach me. After a week, Claire Johnson started getting really anxious.
Julian, any word on Victor yet? What if something happened to him? I'll have my assistant reach out.
Claire, I need to tell you something. Promise me you won't be upset.
Claire Johnson, who'd already sensed something was wrong, felt her heart drop.
If you ever need anything from the younger generation, just say the word. I'll do everything in my power to help.
You are...
Mr. White, I'm Julian Harris, son of the Harris family. I've admired you for so long. Your return to spend your retirement here is an honor for all of us younger folks.
Everyone watched Zachary White, confused about what he was looking for. Julian Harris, eager to impress, quickly asked,
Mr. White, are you looking for something? Can I help with anything?
Mr. White, just tell us what you need. No need to search yourself.
Julian Harris and Claire Johnson's eagerness rubbed everyone else the wrong way. Everyone knew Zachary White was hosting this gala. Those two were acting like they owned the place, but I stayed calm, still sitting in my corner. I knew Zachary White was looking for me. He'd wanted to introduce me to everyone. I'd put it off many times, but he wouldn't take no for an answer. Afraid he'd be upset, I'd finally agreed to come. Still, I didn't want to show my face to these people. They all knew me from before. Seeing them again, all I could think of was awkwardness and discomfort. I just picked up a glass to wet my throat when I heard a voice.
Hey!
Julian Harris, right? Your name is Julian Harris? I finally remember. When I left the country, you weren't even 10 yet. And I recall your name wasn't that back then. Did you change it again?
Julian Harris's face turned absolutely livid. I froze too. I hadn't expected Zachary White to remember me from when I was a kid. The atmosphere at the gala turned strange. Zachary White sensed something was off. He was about to ask, but Claire Johnson stepped in.
Mr. White, you have such a good memory, but a lot has happened since then. All you need to know is that Julian Harris is the Harris family's biological son.
Funny coincidence. I also know someone named Victor overseas. Different last name, though. I told him 1,000 times he had to come tonight, but that kid never listens. Now he's off somewhere playing around. I'll drag him over here later and introduce you. Same name, after all. That's fate, isn't it?
Hearing that, I frowned. But I didn't expect him to call over his assistant. I breathed a sound of relief. My phone was always on silent. But then a ringtone suddenly shattered the silence of the gala. Hearing my own phone ringing, I wanted to sink into the floor. That's when I realized my work phone was on silent. But my personal phone? I'd never silenced it. The number Zachary White was calling? That was my personal line. The sudden noise drew everyone's attention. All eyes turned toward me. Some people even started whispering. The crowd buzzed with speculation.
Who's over there? You think it's a thief?
He probably knew Mr. White was going to call and turned up the ringtone on purpose.
All kinds of accusations poured into my ears. I felt like I was back on that day when Claire Johnson and Julian Harris framed me.
Everyone shut up!
Once they were quiet, Zachary White finally smiled.
Victor, you rascal. Hiding over here. I've been looking everywhere for you.
With that, Zachary White started walking toward me. I knew I couldn't hide anymore. I sighed silently and stepped out. Of everyone there, only Zachary White smiled when he saw me.
You little brat. Always so low-key. You came, but you had to hide in a corner.
Zachary and White didn't notice, but everyone else gasped. All eyes shifted to Julian Harris.
But I pretended not to see them and immediately went to help Zachary White. Mr. White, you're too kind. I just wanted to catch up with you privately later.
Oh, come on, come on.
Zachary White chuckled and didn't call me out. He quickly pulled me over to introduce me to everyone.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the genius I met overseas.
In just 3 short years, he took a company public. No matter how much I begged, he didn't want to come back. I had to use these old bones of mine to guilt-track him into returning with me.
At Zachary White's words, someone in the crowd gasped. This wouldn't be Mr. Stephen, would it? Stephen is my name overseas.
Stephen? No, his last name is Smith.
Then his gaze landed on Julian Harris. Young Harris, this is the Victor I was telling you about, the one with the same first name.
Why do you look so upset?
Mr. White, maybe it's not just the same first name. The man standing in front of you? He's the one who stole my identity for over 20 years. You're a man of great wealth and influence. Don't let some schemer like this fool you. In the end, the gala ended on a sour note. But I never expected Claire Johnson to find my address. When I saw her standing at my door, looking pitiful, my immediate reaction was disgust. When I spoke, my voice was full of impatience. What do you want? Claire Johnson smiled awkwardly.
Victor, I can understand if you were unhappy with the job Mom and Dad arranged for you back then.
I cut her off immediately. Claire, I don't know what you're talking about. The Harris family rejected me and kicked me out after Margaret's birthday party. You're not going to pretend you didn't know, are you? Claire, your acting is just as good as it was back then.
But after all these years, aren't you tired?
Wood didn't want to deal with her anymore. Wood just closed the door. But Claire Johnson wouldn't give up. She kept knocking.
What do you mean by that? When did I ever act? You're the one who left without saying goodbye.
Claire Johnson, you and Julian Harris schemed to send me to prison. You thought I didn't know? I just figured the Harris family raised me for so long I'd repay that debt by taking the fall.
You knew everything?
Not only do I know, they all know that I know. Claire Johnson stumbled, almost falling to the ground. I snotted coldly, ignored her, and went back inside.
I called my assistant, Vivian Lewis, and told her to handle Claire Johnson. That night, while I was working, Vivian Lewis called me back.
Mr. Smith, the Harris family has been trying to reach you. Do you want to see them?
I wasn't surprised by this news.
Even though I'd been overseas all these years, I knew exactly what was happening back home. Ever since Julian Harris took over the Harris family business, it had been going downhill. The Harris family thought it was because Julian Harris lacked professional training, so they hired tutors for him from all over the world. But Julian Harris was a lost cause. He still had no talent for running a company. When Henry Harris offered to come back to the company, Julian Harris refused him. He thought Henry Harris was mocking him. This year, Harris Corp had become an empty shell. I'd already gotten emails from Harris Corp before I even came back. They were probably casting a wide net, hoping to find some sucker to prop them up. But from what I knew, no company was willing to help, because everyone knew Julian Harris was incompetent. He couldn't run a business to save his life. Even the Johnson family had cut ties with Harris. Now the Harris family was reaching out to me, probably hoping I'd bail them out of gratitude for raising me. But I wouldn't go soft. Whatever debt I owed them for raising me, I'd paid it back the moment I went to prison. I knew Julian Harris was a waste of space. Why would I throw my money away on him? Pulling my thoughts back, I coldly told my assistant, "Don't bother with them. Just pretend you didn't see it." Zachary White invited me to his house again, but I didn't expect the whole Harris family to be there, and even Claire Johnson and Julian Harris's son. The moment Margaret Harris saw me, hatred flashed in her eyes. Still, she pretended to be kind, forcing out a few tears.
Victor, when you left without saying goodbye back then, we looked for you for so long.
Before she could finish, I cut in coldly.
Really? I was washing dishes at a restaurant not far from the Harris house. Funny how you never came looking. Margaret Harris hadn't expected me to be so blunt. She stood there speechless. What do you mean?
That's not what you told me?
At Zachary White's question, none of the Harris family dared to speak. I was sure they'd lied to Zachary White. Otherwise, given our relationship, he'd never side with the Harris family.
Go on, that's your uncle. Say hello. Ask your uncle to help our family. Otherwise, you'll have nothing to eat in the future.
A child barely a few years old had never heard anything like that. Before Margaret Harris even finished, the boy burst into tears.
Mom, why are you scaring a little kid like that?
Because you're such a disappointment. If you had any ability, would Harris Corp be in this state?
Victor Smith, I'm sorry.
I frowned and reminded her bluntly. Sorry, but my last name is Smith. With that, I made it clear I wanted nothing to do with the Harris family. The Harris family realized I wasn't going to help them and made up some excuse to leave. As Julian Harris passed me, he hissed through clenched teeth.
Victor Smith, I won't let this go.
I didn't take his threat seriously.
Victor, I didn't know. This is all my fault.
How could I blame you? I still need to play chess with you. On the way home that evening, my driver was taking me when another car suddenly chased after us. I saw the twisted expression on Julian Harris's face in the driver's seat, but he didn't know I was prepared. The driver I hired? A famous race car driver. His little driving stunt was no match for my driver, but I still made sure Julian Harris ended up in police custody. Even as the cops dragged him away, Julian Harris kept yelling,
You just wait! If you dare send me to prison, I'll destroy you!
But he didn't know that his threats meant nothing to me. Along with the news of Julian Harris's sentence came word that Claire Johnson had filed for divorce. In the end, Claire Johnson divorced Julian Harris's through the courts. She left alone with her son. No one knew where she went. Before she left, I received an anonymous letter. When my assistant told me, I didn't even look back into work. I put the anonymous letter out of my mind and focused on the company's strategic plan for the new quarter. Beyond the floor-laying windows, the city glittered with neon lights, but they could no longer stir any waves in my heart.
Mr. Smith, Zachary is hosting a small tea gathering this weekend. He specifically asked that you attend.
I took the invitation. Gold-embossed lettering, understated and elegant. Since returning, Zachary seemed to really enjoy these get-togethers with old friends.
All right. Tell Zachy I'll be there on time.
Also, Harris Group officially filed for bankruptcy liquidation yesterday.
The news wasn't surprising. After Julian Harris went in, no one was left to run what little remained of the Harris family's assets. Henry Harris was too old and had been out of the loop for years. Margaret Harris knew nothing about business. It was only a matter of time before everything fell apart. For any partners we do business with, run an assessment in advance. Make sure we don't get caught in the fallout.
Got it.
The office fell silent again. I put down my pen and walked to the window. The Harris family's downfall didn't bring the satisfaction expected. Instead, it felt like a hollow finality. The cage of identity that had given me everything and then stripped it all away had finally become nothing more than a nupnote in the past. The weekend tea gathering was held at Zachary's garden estate on the outskirts of the city. A classical Chinese garden, winding paths leading to hidden spots, a pond of withered lotus leaves holding its own kind of beauty. Not many people showed up, just Zachary and a few venerable old gentlemen.
all old friends of his. I was the youngest and least experienced, so I sat quietly at the end, listening to them chat about history and current events, sipping tea and playing chess. The atmosphere was warm and pleasant.
Victor, that Harris matriarch is outside. She wants to see you. Says she has a few words she must say to you in person.
Victor, I'm sorry, but it seems I'm going to have to take care of this.
Sorry to interrupt. I'll go handle this. I'll be back shortly. I responded, Mrs. Harris, you wanted to see me?
Victor, I know our family wronged you. Julian is a bastard. He's gotten what he deserves now.
Harris Corp was your father's, Henry's, life's work. Now it's filing for bankruptcy. We're at the end of our rope. Could you, for the sake of old times, give Harris Corp a hand? It doesn't need much money, just enough to get through this rough patch so the company doesn't go under in such an ugly way.
I waited for her to finish, then spoke. Mrs. Harris, first of all, Harris Corp's problems come from poor management and bad decisions. It's not just a money issue. Throwing in funds would only delay the inevitable, not fix the root cause. Secondly, the old times you're talking about. Do you mean the time you raised me until I was 25? Or the time you stood by and even encouraged Julian Harris and Claire Johnson to scheme and send me to prison for 3 years? Or maybe the time after I got out, when you put me in the servants' quarters, let the staff treat me like dirt, and then let me be kicked out after the birthday party? All those debts, each question, they were paid in full the day I walked out of prison. Slightly. Harris Corp's fate is the inevitable result of the choices your family made. Her body, and I can't do anything about it, and I have no obligation to help. She stepped forward quickly, as if to grab my arm, then pulled back. Tears finally fell.
Are you really this heartless? That place raised you? You just stand there and watch it, even if you remember that I used to care about you?
I interrupted her, and this time a trace of coldness crept into my voice. If you really cared about me, you wouldn't have chosen to believe your newly found, troublemaking biological son over me. The boy you watched grow when I was labeled a rapist and thrown in prison. If you really cared about me, you wouldn't have worried only about me causing trouble for the Harris family when I was burning with fever. The foundation of care is trust and fairness. Unfortunately, I never got any of that from the Harris family.
Try this. It's a newly arrived Phoenix Oolong. Nice mountain essence.
I took it and sipped. The tea was rich and fragrant, with a hint of bitterness that gave way to sweetness. The heaviness in my chest from dredging up the past seemed to lift a little, washed away by the tea's aroma. One of the old gentlemen, who'd been quietly playing chess against himself, suddenly spoke.
Things from the past, you need to let them go. Clinging to hatred is its own burden. You've built a successful career now. You have a bright future ahead. Don't let the quagmire of the past trip you down.
Simon's right. Victor, you still have a long future ahead.
Thank you, Simon. Thank you, Zachary, for the advice. I understand. I did understand. I didn't hate anymore, but I wouldn't forgive either. Not looking back was the best way forward. As the tea gathering ended, Zachary asked me to stay and take a walk with him alone.
Victor, there's something I've been thinking about, and I feel like I should tell you. About a month ago, that Johnson girl, Claire Johnson, came to see me.
She came to you? She didn't plead for anything or mention the Harris family. She just asked me about your early years overseas, how you got by, if you suffered a lot. She looked like she genuinely regretted it. She was gone, completely worn down.
She said she knew she had no right to see you or ask for your forgiveness. She just wanted to understand more of what you went through, as if that might ease her own guilt a little. I said a few words and sent her on her way.
A tragic mess.
Later I heard she left the city with her child. No one knows exactly where she went. I just think you have a right to know what happened after. What you make of it is your own business. I just think that girl, she probably won't find peace in this lifetime.
Listened in silence. The evening wind rustled through the bamboo grove. Thank you for telling me, Zachary. Whether she finds peace or not has nothing to do with me. We're strangers now.
Good. Knowing when to hold on and when to let go, that's what makes a real man. Come on, I'll have my driver take you back.
Life moved forward, day by day. My company grew steadily, taking a leading position in emerging tech field. Occasionally, I'd see my name and face in financial news or at high-end forums. Victor Smith, a young, mysterious entrepreneur who'd made his mark overseas and returned home. Vivian Lewis had grown into a capable assistant who could handle things on her own. She was meticulous and efficient. And more importantly, she knew boundaries. She never pried into my personal life. One day, she came in and even chaired.
This is an invitation to the Starlight Children's Foundation annual charity gala. The host is Mrs. Parker. She's very respected in the community, and it's a high-profile event. Would you like to attend?
I nodded. All right, make the arrangements. Prepare a suitable auction item on the company's behalf.
Got it. Also, here's the preliminary agenda and the list of confirmed VIPs.
I took the list and glanced over it. Politicians, business leaders, cultural figures. Then a name caught my eye, Emily Parker.